And we are going
You're live.
live. Oh, did you turn it on already?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, don't do that, man. Tell me, just how safe are your applications? For years, I've maintained a Flipboard magazine cataloging security failures and breaches. And this is what I've learned. Building secure online apps is hard. It requires knowing where the attack can occur. Excuse me 1 second here. This is a mess. I'm sorry, guys. It requires knowing where an attack can occur and keeping track of them. It requires being aware of system vulnerabilities and either avoiding them or mitigating the impact. It requires an awareness of how access could be compromised, how the system could be infiltrated and data corrupted and exfiltrated. You have to anticipate and code for it. God help you if you miss anything. Attack surfaces, data in transit, input injections, credential exposure, and that's not all. It's a lot to lay on you. So, shouldn't your platform do more? Shouldn't developers Shouldn't you be free of the stress so you can concentrate on building experiences your users enjoy with safety guarantees built into your apps? Well, today we'll focus on app security and user safety. We'll address how companies use fear as a cover for market dominance. You'll hear about the real-world impact of compromised software. You'll learn about web application security from WECN's CEO and lead developer, and he'll share 3 ways MeteorJS makes software more secure. And if you stick around till the end, we'll give you 2 more bonus tips. Now, in 2013, the journal Neuropsychiatric Disease and Treatment claimed the adolescent brain matures at 25. Well, today we hit episode number 25. And if you want the truth, I don't think we're anywhere near mature in what we're doing. But what I know is you're watching or listening to This Week in MeteorJS, a weekly news segment of the MeteorJS Dispatches podcast, a resource for both new and veteran users hosted by MeteorJS community ambassadors who share information, events, and activities, and other newsworthy items. I'm your host, Alim Gafar, in New York.
I am Jan Dvorak, aka Storyteller from Prague.
I'm Küster from Germany. Hello.
And visiting us is Lori. Lori, introduce yourself.
I'm Lauri Jesu, Z7, maintainer of Vegan.
Excellent. And we've got a lot today, so I'd like to roll right into it. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so as I said before, our focus today is on security and safety in applications. And are you, hang on 1 second, again. Are you looking for an easier yet better way to prove who you are? Identity management keeps evolving, gone from username and password to biometrics, and then we've gone to passwordless, 2-factor authentication, and multi-factor authentication, and we're moving on to other things now. All of these things, by the way, they're not sequential as I might have been implying. Some of these have, come and shown up at different times. Google says there's now a push for us to adopt passkeys, and Google says it replaces both the password and the OTP with the one-time password code, the 6 digits that you might get in an email or on your authenticator application. And the biggest benefits to this are improved security, convenience in authenticating, and lower friction while accessing protected resources. So, as a developer, building applications that use passkeys are supposedly better for business. And among the biggest players pushing this are Microsoft, Google, and Apple. Now, passkeys basically use public key encryption, and that's pretty well documented how that works, so I'm not going to get into it here. With the novelty being that, well, this is not such a novelty. The private key is on your device, and then you use some biometric measure to get access to it. So if you have a phone, you get your thumbprint or a retina scan, and then that'll allow you to use your private key in transaction. Now, Google argues that password managers aren't really ideal for password management because most people don't use them. But then, because this private key is on one machine, one device, if you want to use it on multiple devices, like I do, I have several devices, then that becomes a little more difficult. And what they suggest then is you use a password manager in order to federate access to that key from your device so that you can get access to your other things. So on the one hand, they're telling you, password managers aren't really well used, and now they're saying in order to use it well with passkeys, in order to have good use of passkeys, and you have more than one device, you're gonna need a password manager. So that's a mess in of itself that I'm not crazy about. The other challenge I see with these passkeys is in America, it kind of raises a constitutional issue with regard to being compelled to give access to the data on your phone. Now, in the United States, that's a Fourth Amendment issue, which is related to searches and seizures, and a Fifth Amendment issue, which is related to self-incrimination. In a way, it's much easier for the police when they pull you over to compel you to open your phone by sticking your thumb on it or holding it up to your face and getting it to open. Whether or not that's legal, it's in the United States, there are jurisdictions that say it's okay, and in others, not so much. So there isn't a clear sense of where this is. The Supreme Court has not ruled on this yet. But there are places where they say that, if you have to disclose your password, then this becomes a Fifth Amendment issue. It becomes providing a testimonial, as they were to say, and that is protected by the Fifth Amendment. So, long and short of this is there is a big push by these institutions to have us use passkeys. I, for one, I'm not going to be doing that. I will be sticking to my passwords and MFA, thank you, until this becomes a settled issue in terms of my privacy rights. So that's what I've got on that, and I thought that was a pretty interesting thing. Do you guys have any comments or input on it? I know this is a little controversial, what I've said today.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alim, on this. I will have passkeys eventually because I will be most likely implementing it into websites. I personally am sticking with what I have: passwords, password manager with strong passwords, and then I have also a hardware key. So wherever possible. But I will have my bonus. I will have probably a testing version. One big thing about it is, since it's also supposed to be, replace both the initial authentication and then additional authorization via the second, or the second factor authentication. That's kind of, I don't know, it feels a little bit of a downgrade, honestly. And from what I kind of seen with the passkeys, it, kind of depends on, I think your phone can, face, you can go fingerprint, or you can just, press a button. So, it is as safe as is, for example, the device you have it on. And in this case, I would say, having like this on your phone, and that's like another thing. If it's like tied to your phone, what if you didn't go upgrade your phone? Or if you lose it or something like that, that can create more of a problem. That's, for example, with my hardware keys. What I have the primary one, and I have a backup key which is in my safe.
Yeah, I know, for instance, like some of my crypto wallets are completely lost, right? Because they were on a device. I had only access through the device.
Yeah.
And I don't have the device anymore. So
that's why you need to get a hardware wallet.
By the way,
I could lose that too. There's no guarantee that I wouldn't lose that either.
Yeah, and that's why you keep your backup keys in the safe or in the safety deposit. So you always have backups. So, but that's like another topic.
Yep.
And as you said, it's like everything can use. Oh, go ahead, Jan.
From my current knowledge, Firefox does not have Passkeys support implemented right now. And coming with that, that's just a very tiny news, but we will cover that in a future episode. I think the current CEO of Mozilla will not be CEO anymore. There is now an interim CEO, and maybe there will be a change towards more focus on security topics. Yeah. So just leaving that as a side note, and yeah, I will stick to my OTP as well.
It works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind
I think you're up next, Küster.
No, Laurie wants to say something.
Oh yes, Laurie, pop on in.
It kind of depends where the passkeys are supported. So I do still have my password manager and many two-factor authentication keys. So let's see where it is available and what services.
Yeah. OTP
the reason this came up is I've been seeing the request to implement passkeys popping up on Apple and also on Google when I've been logging in. So, I'm dismissing them right now, but it's becoming very annoying. And I really didn't understand very much about it until I looked further into it for this story. So I don't know how many other people out there are facing this issue, but would love to hear what your thoughts are on it. But in any case, the push is to get developers to use and implement them as part of their way of authenticating users. So, that's the push right now. You've got some vulnerable tough cookie issues.
Actually, I was reviewing a bit in the Slack because, as we all know, the Slack is not persistent in its history. And I was just looking if there were topics that are like stale. And I found that Per Berglund, who is also a long-term member of this community, posted once a while ago that he found in the outdated Meteor Node.js 14. There is a dependency third-party package tough cookie being present in a critical vulnerable state, and nobody knows what this is about. And it's also weird because usually Meteor does not use cookies at all, right? So I kindly asked him, could you please open up a topic in the forums, and we will raise awareness here, because this is what it's about. Maybe someone who has a little bit more insight can get their hands on or tell us what's going on here. I for myself don't know where to start to look at why is that there and how it's used. And because the issue got stale on Slack, it might be important to keep it persisted in the forums.
Absolutely. I think as a general rule, anything that goes beyond an immediate answer in Slack probably should be persisted in the forums.
Yeah, that's why I did that, and we should. This is also encouragement to all the users who are watching right now. If you have an issue on Slack that is not resolved after a few days, please open the topic in the forums, because in the forums it will be there forever and it's searchable, and in Slack it will disappear after a while.
Yep.
Also, if you like what you see and you want to keep getting updated, constant updates and information, topics, hot topics, discussions, deep dives, everything we can provide for you, then please like this episode so we know how you are doing and if the episode was nice.
It is interesting, Kelly's suggestion. Is it possible that tough cookie is a dependency of a package? I guess things are possible. I don't know.
I would say that's the most likely explanation, that it's like some deep dependency somewhere of something.
Yeah. If you scroll down a bit, what I was thinking here, or what got me thinking, is the path. So if you take a look at the path, is actually under the Node.js 14.21 for lit node modules somewhere. So this is not a from my end, it looks like this is either it's a global dependency he somehow installed. That might be one case, actually, global peer dependency. But I hardly imagine that this comes from a Meteor package.
Well, it doesn't have to be like, Meteor package exactly. It could be something either potentially in NPM, as this might suggest, or some other package of a package that we are depending on somewhere up the line. So it who knows how deep the dependency is, especially since I don't really know with this. That kind of suggests to me that it might be something with NPM. And but at least the good news is I think, or the thing that I kind of want to ask here, the first question is this an issue in Meteor 3? So let's have that question answered before anything, and let's see what else we have from John Mauro. Hello there. I think okay, so that's back to Passkeys. So
hey John, nice to have you back.
I think also, since we have there in Apple, I guess I'll take it on as kind of segue to my segment. Anything else you guys want to add here?
I don't know enough about this dependency to comment on it, and so it's a mystery as far as I can tell. So no, I'm happy to move on to the next thing.
So just here also from John, input in regards to Passkey, that would be great addition to Meteor accounts. I fully agree. Even though we personally might be Luddites and not want it, doesn't I think given how the big corporations are behind it, it's going to become more of a important things in the future. And then he has here, for Apple in particular, they'll be stored in iCloud keychains. So being tied to one device shouldn't be an issue, but then it kind of loses, I would say this little bit of a security.
Wait, so are you saying that the private key is going to be stored in the iCloud keychain?
That's how it looks like.
Okay.
So then it is kind of locked to Apple devices.
Which I think kind of defeats a little bit of the point. And speaking of Apple, Alim, you mentioned that security can also be abused, and not just from the attacker level, but also from the people implementing it as well. And here we have a very nice, could say, new Apple logo, you could say, and this is an article or blog post from Proton, which is behind the Proton Mail and other say highly encrypted and secured set of tools. And one of the issues that that rise here is that Apple has run, and Google as well, against monopolies in the EU, because of course with their Apple stores and Play stores, they control access onto their platform, which is monopolistic. And recently EU said that they cannot do that. They have to allow for more option, and specifically when it comes to payment, because of course when you are On Apple, you can only use their payment processing. You cannot use anything on your own, and with that comes quite a steep tax. Of 30% of your revenue goes to Apple, which, wow. One of the reasons why I'm not developing for Apple, and it effectively banned any alternative payment methods. And of course, you said you cannot do that. That's not allowed, among other things. So Apple says, okay, yes, we can we'll oblige, and we'll create a new kind of schema that will allow for alternatives. A little bit more, but in this case, what they did here, and we have a sample here. If you use an alternative and want payment system and try to install an app, you will get this massive overbearing, "Ooh, this is not secure app, beware," among other issues, which I would highly recommend you to go and read out. But this is, yes, in a way they are correct, but it's like, we are seeing everything that's outside of our walled garden as insecure, or we cannot guarantee the security, which the second part, of course, is true. If it's not in your system, then you can. But here it's used the ghost of danger outside of, as I said, of the walled garden to stifle your competition. So that's one big thing about abusing security.
I thought I had read someplace, I didn't read this article, but I thought I had read someplace else that, one of the things that they have in terms of how it will allow the outside payment to occur is there's still the Apple tax. So even if you collect money from an outside payment mechanism, they still need to get a share of that. And
yes, that's as well. They will get,
and effectively they're getting their 30%. I mean, one way or the other.
Exactly. It's just because it becomes more convoluted, and unless you're like really zooming in on defined text and figuring everything out, then that's big. And also, like another thing, I think once you reach certain number of install, for every additional install, you have to then pay 50 cents. So in addition to all the other things, so it's.
So I think what they're trying to demonstrate is it's a much smoother and friction-free experience to go through Apple rather than to try to jump through hoops to not go through Apple.
Yes, that's one way to look at it. And like another thing is,
I don't know. Doesn't this remember me a little bit of what Unity wanted to do and then failed very hard, because everybody was immediately saying they will drop Unity if users pay.
I don't think that's going to happen with Apple.
Install.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen with Apple, because the thing is, Apple's not changing the way that it works with existing developers, right? Yeah, it's just going to continue basically the same thing. But if you want to do something cheaper, and use an outside process to do so cheaper, they're not going to really allow you to do that. So, if you didn't want to play in their walled garden in the first place, they're not saying stick around. They're saying, look, this is what it's going to cost to play here, one way or the other. So I don't think it's going to have the same impact.
Yeah, well, there has been one of the big things with the existing system is that even if you have, for example, for Apple, you use their system, but outside of Apple, you have, for example, Stripe for all that stuff. Then you cannot mention that in your application that you use different, or they can also get or buy, for example, subscription to your website outside of Apple. If you do that, then they will cut you off and other things. So it's also kind of very bad, because most companies say, okay, then we'll just increase prices by 30% for Apple users. So
okay,
that's kind of the common tactic. to deal with that tax. They'll just increase the prices.
They're
because,
just passing it on to the customer.
Exactly. The same thing happens with when states increase taxes. Companies just pass it off to the customers.
I still think this is also a little bit because of I know for a fact that it's still a typical construct that you have a website or you have an account on a website where you can make the account, make the payment, everything, and then the app is free and you just log in with the account on the website, and and on the server it's checked if you're a paying user going totally around the app store. And but that is not the solution to that problem, in my opinion. That's just being greedy as hell.
Yeah. And to finish this off, it could why when you are looking.
It seems we all have some opinions here.
Yeah. The big thing here is that if you choose this new policy, you cannot switch back to the original Apple ones or vice versa. So whichever policy you choose, that's what you're stuck with life. So in a way, it's like I feel it's like a vindictive child, like choose this, you're going to have it, and I'm not going to change if you change your tune. It doesn't matter. You are stuck with this forever.
I was a Apple user in the past, and they already lost me when they dropped most of the, no, really, like in 2016, 17 or something, when they dropped the first time the Magic Keyboard with their new MacBook Air, and it was such a crap, and this weird bar and all that stuff. And I was thinking, like, what is their new strategy? They're just dropping crap, and they lost me already there, and I never regretted that for now.
You never know.
So I still like Mac OS, but they have a weird policy for a few years going on.
That's my biggest gripe with Apple, that they might have great products and everything, but then it looks like once the lawyers and the let's say middle management gets hang of it, they just find a way to abuse it and make it miserable for everybody else, or at least for the developers and people who want to play.
Laurie wants to say something.
Yeah, speaking of abuse. Which is not real, by the way. No. I think I had a conversation with Laurie not too long ago, and he brought up some concern with regard to Note 14. So, Laurie, do you want to
wait, Alim, I still have something to add here.
Oh, you do? I apologize.
Yes. I apologize. But first, Laurie, if you want to.
Yes, I would comment that if I would release a free app to the App Store for iOS and so on, and it becomes very popular, then me as developer would very likely have those big costs, like tens of thousands or half $500,000 of costs, and that kind of makes it difficult. And anyway, if there are additional app stores added, then Apple anyway has the will check and is everything okay, and there are kind of many points in this how it does not make anything easier.
Yes, exactly. And for me, and as I mentioned, Apple has kind of lost its way, and there were a lot of deal breakers, and I'm like, look at it, and I kind of feel that given how still Apple, has not really received any significant pushback, I would say, for all these bad decisions, kind of think that the developers for Apple like to get punished and being abused. But speaking of being abused, is we have in Meteor something called ambiguous error message, which is a setting that you can set on your account's common. And it was because before, if you turn this on, before turning this on, what you get if you try to log in, it will tell you have we don't recognize this email, or that's the wrong password. which can be abused. And so if you turn this on, it will just say, "Oh, there was an error," and not, it will just be ambiguous, as it should be for a security reason. And I have submitted a pull request for Meteor 3 that this ambiguous error message will be set to true if you don't set it otherwise in production by default, so that we increase, the account security by default. So if you, please go in like this, and to make sure that it gets into Meteor 3. And up we go to Laurie speaking about Node 14.
Yes, so Node 14 has had updates about 7 months ago, and after in that time there has been many Node.js updates for new versions. So I'm not really sure what of those security updates apply still to Node.js 14, and that would be nice to have some response for Meteor software. Do they try to update that? Of course, it would be better to upgrade to newest Meteor 3, but we are not there yet with all the dependencies. I also did compile Node.js 14 for different architectures, and the current version 14.21.4 that crashes at ARM64 and S390X, and although I'm just thinking, is there any plans to add additional fixes to this, or is the plan just to try to get everyone to Meteor 3?
So if I can just summarize a little bit something here, because we had a long discussion about this. It's basically with Meteor 14 in the state that it's in, it breaks Wecken in certain instances and on certain platforms. And 3.0 is not yet certified, right? So in a sense, it's sort of, not complete. So we're talking about moving from one broken instance over to another broken instance. And the Meteor software team had promised to maintain and continue applying security patches to 14 until some time, I believe, in the first half of this year. But as Laurie is saying, there hasn't been an update for about 7 months. So do we know whether or not they're still committed to keeping these upgrades going, or is the idea that they're not going to be doing any more and they're hoping that everybody just moves over to 3? In either case, if there is upgrades, there's to 14, then there's some hope for Wecken on the 2 series. But if not, then it's sort of caught between a rock and a hard place, because in both cases, it's not satisfactory. So, Laurie, is this correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's, I think what's needed is some clarification from Meteor Software in terms of where they stand on any additional rollouts on 14. And I understand the stress it's creating to continue maintaining that, but they did say that they were going to. So, the question is for Wecken and for anybody else that's relying on it, what's the answer from Meteor Software? So I don't know that anybody at this table knows right now, but we're hoping that maybe we'll get some input from somebody from the team either today or on the forums, so that we could find that out. All right. Okie dokie. Let's move on then, unless there's some discussion on this. Is there?
I'm fine.
No, then I think Küster.
I'm trying to move to Meteor 3 as soon as possible.
For us, it's for us the same right now. And but I think I wouldn't underestimate that topic. And you know yourself, when you're running a business, and there are different factors that may prevent you from moving forward. And I could think of that there might be still end of this year people out there, companies out there that still have to run on some modified Node 14 in order to keep their business running. So I wouldn't underestimate the importance of that topic, definitely.
The other part that you shouldn't underestimate either is the fact that the async await paradigm, the method of programming with async await, isn't familiar to people. Some people that have been using fibers in the past, right?
Yeah.
So,
for example, so you need also additional training, education, and so on.
Yeah.
And the next topic I'm coming up with is also not to be underestimated, even if it's not related to Meteor. But if you have ever used AnyDesk, then and you've read the news the recent days, then you might know what this is about. So AnyDesk is a software that allows you to have remote access. It's similar to TeamViewer, or there's this other tool. What was the other tool's name? There are quite a few, there are quite a few tools out there that allow that. And AnyDesk itself is also used worldwide. And they had confirmed a breach that some of their production system are compromised. And the thing is, they have a very withholding information policy right now in terms of how they act upon this incident. But the severity of this might be very high, because people all over the world using it, and scammers all over the world are also trying to use it, and also attackers all over the world try to use it, because when it's installed on a host system and you know that, then it's an attack vector. You know that if you know it, that it's there, then it's definitely an attack vector. And so we just linked the article. This is something you might read about. It's not related directly to Meteor, but if you're working in the IT industry and in any company, then you know how it's going when there is customer support. Nobody is going to a customer unless it's down the street or something, and even then they might not do it. So usually there is a tool like this in use, and this might be of importance. And if you didn't hear this, then you might update your newsletter and RSS feed list very soon, please. And of course, tune in to us.
I think I used a tool like this. It used to be called PC Anywhere many years ago. I don't know if it's still around, but basically it allows you to log into another computer remotely and take control of it. Yes.
So there is open source alternative Rustdesk. So it is possible to install your own server and own client software.
Just posting it in the chat.
Yeah, just so much room for trouble.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, since I work with corporate clients, so thankfully we have been using TeamViewer, but tools like these are very common.
Yeah. If nobody has something to say on that, then we can safely go to the next topic.
Yeah. So. What is that? That is, we're back to Lori.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so I did post to forums some PWA resources. So for vegan, that has the Meteor software at some URL. Then I have created various applications. So there is that at the top is a link to the browser compatibility matrix. So there is links to those software. So the vegan is available as app at Play Store, and also Windows Desktop, Microsoft Store, and also at Ubuntu Touch Open Store, and therefore Ubuntu Touch I mean, Ubuntu 16.04 and 20.04 based Ubuntu Touch versions. So it is kind of having that as application, but it runs a full screen web browser that is at that platform. And then the other link is like when you have your own install of server made with Meteor, then you can create that kind of application icon for iOS and or Android or Windows or some other systems. So it works like you have installed an app, but it is not from App Store. It is from that browser link like Safari or some other browser making some link.
So
And
this
and
is
also
go ahead. I'm sorry.
and also at that same forum post at below, there is a comment from somebody else where they add that there is a way to cache the JavaScript code and others to client side. So that is also additional way for PWA applications, and also there are other ways to make the applications like Cordova application for Meteor. So there are many kind of possibilities to make application, and that's it.
Yeah.
So this is a follow-up to a conversation we were having this past Sunday on our first Hot Topic stream that we did, and the Hot Topic was what was the title? Where does Meteor go in 2024? We were being provocative there too. So one of the things, I think it was Storyteller, that you had predicted that we will be spending, or we'll be seeing a lot more of PWA related activity in Meteor going forward when we get past 3.0. So this is where it's picked up, and of course Laurie has a lot of resources, and as he suggests, the benefit of the PWA is its flexibility. You can use it in a number of different shells, whether it's a mobile native application and you just feed it the HTML, or if it's in a browser, it is very flexible as a strategy for building applications for multiple destinations. So is there anything else anybody wants to add to this?
Yeah, I would like to add that the linked script from Paul Lindsay, Paul, from Paul. I want to try out definitely, because I'm already using Service Worker from like ages ago, and there was not this caching strategy included at all. And this might be awesome, especially referencing back to this whole topic of bundle size, performance, and all that stuff. And until we have an optimized version with bundles, you could at least leverage that, so only the first request is big, and then after that it's all cached. I mean, I'm doing that already, for example, in our applications, but not on that detailed level. So there are still assets that are not cached, and I think this is an interesting approach, and I would definitely suggest everyone to try that out and give feedback, of course.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, as I said, this is, I think, going to become more of a topic, and I think especially with the caching and all that stuff, there is a big opportunity to have, say, more dedicated settings from Meteor itself, how utilize this and manage this and deploy this. So as I said, this is kind of going more towards what I prophesize, and I hope it's going to advance, because as I said in my prediction, I think there's quite a good opportunities there. Plus, Google in their ranking, if you have progressive web app, it helps in search. So it's a plus. Okay,
well, we see Tatiana from the Meteor team has popped in to say hello. Hi, Tatiana. It's good to see you, and thank you for joining us. So we're gonna stick with revisiting some items from Meteor and our past programs. And recently, we had Küster give a bit of a story on the Node.js issue in an error that showed up on the forums, and he talked about it and mentioned that perhaps this is something that needs to be reinstalled. I think it was the solution that you came up with, right? And what's very interesting to me is, or what's satisfying, is that Harry saw that element or that item in the news, and he posted the video back to the forums and said, "I think this solves your problem." And the user looked back at it. His name is what's his name? It's Leon Lebihan, and it's Y Lebihan on is his handle. And so this is related to a 3.0 migration error that he ran into on Ubuntu, and it's really not an issue with 3.0 at all. It was missing the compiler for Node, and so I think the thing that I want to share here is that Küster brought this up as an issue that he saw on the forums, talked about it here, suggested a possible solution. It went back to the forums, which I thought was cool. By a listener, Harry Adele, who was also one of our guests at one point recently, and then it was resolved, and now the issue is closed. It was marked solved, and I thought this was really cool, and I wanted to know if anybody out there thinks that we should do more of this. We should be looking at the issues on the forums and bringing them into discussion here, and then perhaps sharing what we think might be helpful, and seeing it return. So if you think this is something we should continue doing, please let us know in the chat, or put it in the comments if you're coming to the show after it's been recorded, and we'll take that into consideration. What do you guys think? Did you find it satisfying?
Yes.
When I said you guys, I wasn't talking just to the audience. I was talking to the folks here in the room, on the stage. So I thought it was kind of cool to see that.
Yeah, well, and we'll have that more as we do more of our, say, migrations on the screen. I will have, not this coming Monday, but pretty much in the coming weeks, I will have a few more streams where I'll be working on Meteor 3, trying to migrate or building new stuff with it. So we'll see how far I can get and what I'll find.
Yeah, well, you're spending a lot of time in the forums these days, aren't you?
Yes, indeed I do. And kind of reminder for everybody, we have a few new categories. One of them specifically for security. So if you have like any security concerns or anything like that, please post. Right now, what is there primarily are a lot of old issues. And I still have a lot of, I have like almost 4,000 topics to categorize, or 3,900 something. So still a long way to go. So most of these should be resolved by now. But if not, it's a good time to visit them. And so, yeah, put in there. And as we kind of looking at the forums and thinking, what else to do, the question arises, what other categories should we add or maybe remove? And I would really like to hear your opinions here in the chats or later on in the comments, because if we look at it, just say right now, let's see, do we have any? Yeah, okay, so we're going to do it like that. What we started is kind of utilizing more of the subcategories, and the thing is, we have almost 18,000 or over 18,000 topics in the help category and similar in others. And for me, at least personally, it's sometimes like kind of very hard to find specific topics because these are very broad categories. So I would like to hear from you guys what categories should we add, how should we maybe structure it better. So what would help you to find the information, or at least kind of find maybe your niche where you would like to be more active. I personally have been thinking that we should definitely add kind of more sections to the help, so it's then easier kind of to categorize, okay, what kind of part of the Meteor ecosystem I'm looking for in help. Right now we have just a subsection called MongoDB for stuff related specifically to MongoDB. And I was also thinking, because we do have dedicated categories for Blaze, React, Apollo, Vue.js, Weld, that we should maybe consider adding new for the new big front ends like Solid and Quick. But then also like looking at these categories, I was thinking, okay, what are these categories for? Are they like for asking questions, or is it like
general
anything else? So that's kind of what we need to do. Do we want to just have everything, and then maybe should they be under the help category, or should they be on their own? And maybe we should have under, say, Vue.js, we should have a help category, which will then have the help or the question and answers options enabled. So these are things that I am looking at kind of for the forums, and that I'll be promoting to Meteor software to go on. And so yeah, let me know what you think, and time to move on.
Don't forget that if you're finding this useful, please subscribe to the channel. We love to have more of you. We have 157 members right now, which is great. When you subscribe, there are two things that happen. When you like the video and you subscribe, there are two things that happen. One is, first, on the subscriptions, you'll get notified when we have a new episode coming up. The second thing is it helps extend the reach of these videos to others in the developer community on YouTube, so that we can continue to build this community and get more and more people interested in using Meteor or trying it out. So that's where we want to go with this, and hopefully you can help us be part of that. And with that, we have a guest of honor today, Laurie, who is from Wecken. It's good to see you, Laurie, and thank you for joining in and being willing to help us out with the news today. Laurie's come today, and he has a lot of experience, hard-won experience for like being in the trenches, learning and figuring out application security. And I say that generically because Wecken, while it's available on the web, Laurie plays with it a lot on a lot of different types of devices and formats. And so when he does this, he encounters all sorts of bugs, fun stuff, and all sorts of security issues. So he's going to explain a bit about application security, and then talk about application security within the context of Meteor. So with that, I'm going to pass it on. He has a structure. I'm going to leave it to him. Laurie. I think you need your microphone on. Laurie, your microphone is off.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Meteor Dispatches without a dead microphone.
Yes. So in general, in security, there are many attack surfaces. So global problem is, does everyone have all the updates installed? So for example, in Linux Mint, it's possible to have automatic updates to deb, flatpak, and snap packages, but when there is some other operating system, it usually requires very many clicks, like Windows or Mac or iOS or Android or something else. And usually when I'm teaching using computers, people are surprised that everything is not updated automatically. But anyway, for the web applications, there is first the browser. So there has been many browser exploits where someone can get some file from the file system. So there is, for example, Linux has sandbox like FileJail that can limit what directories web browser can access. Or for example, it can limit access is only downloads directory, so it works with Firefox, but I have not yet got it working with some Chromium-based browser. But at the actual web applications, there is the client side, browser side code. There is JavaScript code running, so there are kind of different JavaScript exploits and protections and very many additional security features that browsers have, and also when there is some data going to server, there is the server side code. But starting from what other things is involved, so usually there is password. So in Meteor, many server-side passwords and other settings are usually done with environment variables, so they are only accessible server-side, and those can be set, for example, in Vegan using Docker or Snap or Sandstorm or the bundle like Bash script environment variables, or at Windows using bat script. And it is also important that those passwords are not saved to version control, because in many cases some passwords have been committed to GitHub, and then there are automatic bots that go through and recognize those passwords and automatically start at those clouds some Bitcoin mining and some other automated stuff. And then it is possible to limit the access for the server-side code with containers, so that code cannot access files outside of container. So for example, in Docker, but Docker has the problem that it has many layers, so it can use much additional disk space. Also, it kind of needs some kind of management system to update, because that would update the newest version. So some like to first test what version works best, so it kind of then is decided when to update and when is the free time to update. Then there is snap packages that are available for many distros. Those update automatically, so it is very great when I do release security updates, and it is updated to all servers worldwide in very short time. So it is keeping all the servers secure very fast. Then there is sandstorm.io cranes. So there can be many cranes where at each crane Vegan or some other application is installed. So there are also other applications like WordPress and various chat systems and text editor, spreadsheets, and so on that Sandstorm has at their App Store. So that Sandstorm is currently the most secure platform. There will be an update for newest vegan for Sandstorm platform too. So for the vegan, the plan is to get all the possible platforms to use in newest vegan, and making the upgrade is in process. For the framework and dependencies, there is good to try to always upgrade the newest dependencies, like upgrading the newest Meteor and Node.js packages. Like Meteor has packages from atmosphere.js.com and npm.js.com. Meteor can use many client-side web frameworks and together very flexibly. So, for example, I did fix drag drop for the Ubuntu Touch based more browser by upgrading some jQuery dependencies to newest version, and also the code vegan uses is having many features for using touch-enabled devices, so it is using as many devices as possible and adding for more optimizations. And also there is updating the MongoDB to newer version. So for example, when there will be upgrade to Vegan Snap, it will be upgrade from MongoDB 3 to MongoDB 6, or alternatively FerretDB. FerretDB would be very beneficial for Sandstone platform, because the benefit of using Sandstone platform is that each grain is only running when it is used. So it is using minimal amount of RAM. When someone is not using some grain sandbox, then it does not use any RAM. So if that MongoDB would be migrated to FerretDB and SQLite, then it would use much less disk space and also start faster. Then there is the browser support. So there are many browsers for many operating systems, for newer and older. So currently Meteor and Vegan supports Safari, Firefox and Chromium-based browsers. At Ubuntu Touch, there is more browser that is using Chromium-based browser, and there are also some ports of Firefox for older operating systems like Windows XP and others. And there is also many forks of these browsers that have a different kind of privacy and security features or speed optimizations. So in that Vegan Wiki browser compatibility matrix is also listed all the compatible web browsers. And when I find some new web browser, I add those to list and try to add compatibility to more browser. Then about the web application, usually when running Meteor application or Vegan at internet, there is some web server at front of it. For example, caddy server 2. So it is automatically updating the SSL TLS certificates from Let's Encrypt or Cloudflare or many other places. So it automatically keeps keeps those working. So it is not anymore necessary to use something like certbot to manually update those certificates at many servers. So caddy takes care of updating those automatically. Also for many server farms, and there are many kind of additional features, and because caddy also has API, it is possible to use caddy features and custom builds of those features with vegan if needed. So there could be integrations like using both the Caddy API and Vegan API and Vegan webhooks where those actions that happen at board send webhooks to somewhere else, like some additional automation or chat or something else. Also, at web application is the cross-origin policy and so on. So what permissions those various code have when running at browser. So there is existing package like browser policy and helmet, and some use those for some purposes, but there could be some updates to use helmet under the hood. But anyway, when using those packages, it also needs testing that all the features work, because Meteor has many advanced functionality running with JavaScript at browser side. Then there is also input validation, so checking server side. At server side models, what information is changed, like is there some input fields or changing something via WebSocket, and there is Meteor features like allow Denny and other that can at server side check what is used, and also using the Meteor code like that is the user logged in and so on. Also, after the data has been inputted to vegan database to any input field, then there is the output filtering. So for example, for XSS cross-site scripting, that code needs to be filtered with, for example, DOM purify, because otherwise some of the input field JavaScript could be run. For example, that there could be some usually when someone reports a security issue in XSS, then they try to make some JavaScript pop-up run like alert on the web page, and the filtering prevents those, because with that kind of code, if someone would add some code to web page, it would cause logged in user to save some data or make some changes. So there was previously like the MySpace issue where somebody was it was possible to add some JavaScript to MySpace, and then when somebody visited that page, then JavaScript added it automatically to thread, and it kind of spread all around the MySpace. And these kind of XSS issues are general to any web framework. Also, so that is the output filtering. Then when there is some attachments uploaded to vegan, for example, using Meteor files or some other way to upload files, it is good to check those attachments, for example, with CLAM AV or some other service. If not using the open source CLAM AV for checking, then for example, at Amazon Cloud, there are services that use various checking for files with virus checking software, what of those are safe and what are not. So if that kind of service then checks that it is safe attachment, then it can be safely uploaded to database or some file storage service like S3 or wherever the attachments are stored. Then there are permissions like Meteor package aligning roles, or alternatively some hard-coded permissions if implementing that. But anyway, with those kind of packages like aligning roles, it takes care who has permission to add some text somewhere, or add some attachment, or drop something, or what other permissions there are, so that each user only has those permissions that is required. And it is also good to test that those permissions work correctly. Also, at Meteor, there is publication pub/sub. So at a directory server/publication, there is MongoDB server-side changes are automatically read by Meteor Web Framework and published to client-side JavaScript-based mini-Mongo. So it is good to that only that data is published to mini-Mongo that is allowed to see at browser side, and there is browser extensions for Chrome and Firefox based browser called Meteor DevTools Evolved. So that shows the content. So there has been in previously some security issue where some also was published additional info to mini-Mongo in vegan project, and someone noticed it, and then the additional data was limited at those publications. And in general, when making additional updates to software, it is good to check that permissions and everything work like before, because any additional change can reintroduce some bug. Or for example, recently there was I didn't notice that someone did add some attachment to Vega public board, and some change was added previously by somebody, that so that there was visible to add attachments at public board. So I only changed the permissions that there is no visible upload attachments at public board. But it is kind of simple things, and checking permissions and updating dependencies.
Very cool. Thank you, Laurie, for that rundown on the different places that you need to look within your application, and then especially within a Meteor application for security vulnerabilities, and some of the things that you can do to address them.
I also would like to add some big props here that you have took the time to write this all down and link every piece of information that is somehow viable. That's really a great effort in the end. I mean, if you just look at how detailed all that is, that's just pure gold, right?
Absolutely. Community members that are doing these things and making it available for everybody else to use that's tremendous. And I'm glad that we have such a community that shares so freely, things that they've learned the hard way. But it helps all of us.
I just have some questions here. For example, that's interesting that it's just pointing to what I wanted to ask for. So DOM Purify is removing lots of tags that could be problematic. Now, I was thinking, what I was thinking, or what I'm asking, Laurie, I think Wacken is also using Blaze, right?
Blaze and Jade.
And is DOM Purify still required? Because when I was at the time trying out some code in Blaze. I wrote some custom XSS tests on my systems to see if I got some XSS issues or something, or reflected as XSS and stuff. But Blaze always stripped all that away. So I was thinking, is there still a use case for Blaze users to use DOM Purify?
I currently run it at vegan repo, so there is github.com/vegan/packages /markdown. So there are many kind of filters. So first, for each input field, there is like at that packages directory is the src and template integration. At that code part. So that code and the packages, and there is markdown, and there is src directory above, and there is template integration. So that uses all the markdown packages to show markdown and emojis and all kinds of links, and there is also at the bottom using that DOM Purify to clean up some of the code so that it is not running the JavaScript, and that is kind of what everything is done for each input field to show the text correctly and not running JavaScript. So also there is vegan.github.io/Hall of Fame or from that vegan. So there have been some security reports disclosures that some of the JavaScript has been run there.
Okay.
So there is a list of that accesses.
Okay. It's
vegan.github.io, and below there is the security part.
cool.
More CV Hall of Fame. So there is listed those, for example, different kind of accesses, vulnerabilities. So and also examples, and also at that vegan GitHub repo security.md is more information of those. But anyway, those have been reported to vegan, and they are linked to code how I did fix those security issues and what did happen when, and so it is all detailed there.
Very nice.
Cool.
Very
That's
cool.
great.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Laurie. You're welcome to stick around for the rest of the show if you'd like. We enjoy having you here, and you can comment on what comes up next. And we are going to MongoDB. What do we have, Storyteller? Your
Yes,
microphone is on.
We have a quick shout out. This series of Jam packages. This time we have Mongo transactions. So you can now, with this package, use MongoDB transactions without having to use the raw collection. Everything else that's compatible with Jam is a schema and audit collection too. And anything that what you do there is, the data is then reactive afterwards, as you would suspect. So this is building up on MongoDB transactions, which allow you to start a transaction, specify a block of things that should happen, and then it gets performed at once. Or if there is some failure during that transaction, it gets reversed and the transaction doesn't happen. So that's also building on top of long-standing MongoDB transaction discussion that we have on GitHub. And let me just scroll here once I see it. is it this one? Yeah, so he also posted here as well about his package. And for me, this is something that I hope to see in the Meteor core sooner rather than later.
Excellent. How much of the transactions does it wrap? Do you know?
But you can wrap anything in it. And
no, I mean, how much of the raw API does it?
That I don't know. Feel free to ask him, or if he's in chat or comments, you can comment on.
I think he was in the chat earlier, right? Is it John Morrow? Yeah, it's John, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, John, if you're still around and you can answer this, be happy to hear from you. Otherwise, I guess we'll just follow it up in the forums or something. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think we've got a little reminder, don't we? Who wants to pop the reminder up? I don't have it written down here. So typically, we like to remind people at this time that open source is not a miracle. It doesn't happen on its own. And it's not like, baby Jesus being born at Christmas time. I don't know why I just said that. That was terrible. But it's not a miracle, right? It's it happens because we have a number of people in the community. We just heard that John Morrow, for instance, made another contribution. He's been putting out a number of different packages recently, and so here we go. So John popped in here. It's wrapping the methods in raw collection. So there's nothing. So anything there you can use in the transaction. Awesome, very good. So we know, for instance, that the two Jans here, the Jan brothers, have GitHub sponsorships, and you heard that that Storyteller is going to be looking to categorize over 4,000 topics at some point. I think this boy needs a pizza. So if you can and you're interested, consider going and sponsoring both of these gentlemen, one of these gentlemen, or even other members of the community that you know that are out there that are doing work that makes your life easier because you have a package or you have some code that they did some work for that makes your life easier. So show your appreciation if you can, and help them out a little bit. And that also helps out the community because it keeps people engaged and it keeps them working and it keeps them adding value to the platform and to making sure that you can work easier, which is always a great thing. All right. And go ahead.
I just wanted to ask Laurie if there's a way to sponsor your work or any other way to contribute or support you and your work.
Yes, so vegan.github.io has a link commercial support, so there is a way to pay. Yeah.
So yes, I badly ignored our friend Laurie here, who came, and he is giving of his time also, to be part of this program, to share all of this knowledge and all of these things that he's learned about the weaknesses and in software and how to look at them and address them. And he's done a beautiful job, as Küster has said, in writing them up and making them very, very clear to everyone. So Laurie is a one-man band. I mean, at the end of the day, although he has a team that works with him to support Wecken, most of the time it's Laurie himself, not only doing Wecken for Linux, but for every other platform you can imagine, including Raspberry Pi. I think he's also done an implementation for. So, by helping him out, also it makes his life a little bit easier because he is carrying like a lot of weight on his shoulders also. So it would be nice if you have the means and you have the willingness to support these fine developers in their effort that you do so. And again, I'm not just saying for these folks, they are here, but for others that you might see that are building packages that you might use or building software that you use and you get some benefit from. If you are able to do so, show your support for them, because it encourages them to continue doing this work that you would always almost certainly have to pay for outside. And with that, I want to bring up some things that we have talked about a little bit here. In the forthcoming weeks, I believe Küster would like to do some live coding and demonstrate, how to develop some stuff with Meteor. I think he's got some topics that he might share with us, maybe in a short, to see if there is some interest in those topics. And if there is any interest in some specific topic, something that you would like to see coded, put it in the comments. Let us know, okay? And that way we can go to it. We can decide from there where to go. Otherwise, we are going to be guessing and giving you our best guess, and doing that. I am going to be doing some of the tutorials at the beginner level, and doing some live coding with that, and seeing what kind of challenges I run into along the way, because some of these tutorials have to be updated. And so this is, I think, the best way to find out where they need to change, is to actually go and do them again and see what needs to be done. So if anybody wants to come and pair code with me or do something like that, also put that into the chat and let me know, into the comments, and let me know. I'd be happy to have somebody along with me. It's always fun to do things with others, which is one of the reasons why we do this program every week. It's a lot of fun to hang out with the Jan brothers. By the way, they're going on tour, and they're I think Storyteller plays the banjo, and Küster plays the harmonica. So it should be some very interesting things. They might do some polka. I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. I haven't slept in 18 hours. So if I'm saying things that sound a little crazy, you understand why. Okay? And with that, does anybody else have anything they want to add before we close for the weekend?
Yeah. I have to add something. I know for sure that at the end of the year, Alim will also be on stand-up comedy if this is going to continue like that.
We are trying to get better every week with how we present ourselves, and keep you interested in coming back for more. So we give
I'm
you
just going
we
to
do a little entertainment. Yes, Küster?
It's me. I'm just going to do quick updates on what I'm planning for the rest of the month for my streams. So on Monday, I will be it will be non-technical stream, talking about my great house philosophy. It will be part 3. I need to update the cover there. But then I'm back to Meteor 3 status update. So it will be 2 weeks from now. And then I'll be looking at alternatives to React. Funnily enough, Hono version, I think, was 4 just dropped, or version 3, just before the stream. So that will probably be back on my lookout as well, because they do some interesting things. And the first stream in March, I'll be building an auth provider or providers, depending on how things go.
Oh, that sounds great. One other thing I want to bring up, because I forgot about this earlier, but we talked about this, I think it was on Sunday, that there is a new section we're going to do called the help desk. And in the help desk, we will pick a topic, or we will pick a bug, a reported item, an issue that might have been filed, and we will take it and we will try to see what we can do about it in a live stream. And if we can resolve it, we can. And if we can't, we'll do what we can to move it forward. But if this is something that you think you would like to see, you don't want to just read the issues on the forums, you would like to hear about it and like to hear it discussed and thought about and ruminated and then perhaps resolved, then let us know that also, because this is an undertaking. It's probably going to require us to come up with some items I would say about a week before, so we get a chance to really kind of think about it before we get on, and then we get to work on it. So if you would like us to address something, please know that we're probably going to need about a week's time of lead time to attack it. And of course, if you propose something and you would like to also join us as we try to go through the issue, then that's something that we'd be happy to do also. The other thing I want to say is we may also pick up something that has been addressed in the past that has been resolved in the issues, but people keep going back to, and we might carry that also. So there is a lot of room for us to play in this help desk concept. If you like the concept and you'd like us to do it, help us by voting for it. Just let us know that we should go forward with this. Okay. So we're counting on you to. This is like an Elon Musk thing. We're throwing it out there, and if you're interested, then we'll do it. All right. We don't have lawyers to give you those, so we don't go that far. So, okay. And with that, if there is nothing else, I'm going to say, have a great weekend, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Have a great weekend.
Okay. Come on.